here. Welcome back to highintensitybusiness.com, the podcast where we discuss high intensity strength training and give you the tools, tactics, and strategies to help you grow your strength training business. The topic of this episode is the 2021 Resistance Exercise Conference, my favorite conference in the entire world. And today's guests to talk about it are CEO and founder of Discover Strength, Luke Carlson, and Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Hannah Johnson. Welcome back, guys. Great to have you and excited to learn about the event.
Thanks for having us, Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence, we're excited to talk with you about the conference. So thank you for having us.
So obviously, a lot of people listening to this show are familiar with REC and have already signed up and don't need to know anymore and are totally committed. But obviously, there are also others who will be listening for the first time. So do you want to describe what is REC and what's special about REC 2021?
Yeah, so this is the 10th year of REC. So 10 years ago, 11 years ago, because the pandemic, we did a virtual and we're not really counting that as a year.
We're racing 2020.
Yeah, we're racing 2020. So the first year we did it was 2012. And the idea was, we go to a lot of conferences. And I used to host a conference in 2002, 2003, 2004, and we had people from all over. And we got away from it. And so 2012, we said, we want to put on a conference that we would want to attend. So sometimes you go to a conference and there's a great speaker there and it's worth it. It's fantastic. We thought, well, what if we brought in all the speakers that we would want to hear and we hosted it? So that was the idea, is put together a conference that we would actually want to attend. And when I say that, it sounds selfish, but I don't think it's selfish because we are high intensity strength training practitioners. So what's the conference that a high intensity strength training practitioner would really want to attend? And I would say over the last 10 years, it's evolved from being just learning to it's an opportunity to experience collegiality. There's fun. There's social elements. Our conference is the one conference where you can learn a lot from the keynotes, but you learn just as much from the other attendees because we have so many brilliant people in the room. And fortunately, there isn't a lot of ego involved. So a brilliant person can be in the audience and not have to be on stage and be talking. And they can say, hey, I'm okay being in the audience, learning from that presenter. I have so many keynote presenters over the years that tell me this is the one conference that I'm nervous to present at because the entire audience is so smart.
I remember Doug McGuff saying that. He was so nervous, and he doesn't tend to get that nervous, right, for presentations. He's such a great speaker. And he was like, I'm really nervous because this is a really high-level crowd.
That's why the breaks of the conference are that much more valuable too. Like, I love our speakers and our speakers are fantastic, and we'll go into those in a little bit. But pulling people aside during the 10-minute breaks or walking to a different room or dinner at night are so valuable as well.
Oh, and so true.
Connect with the people that are also passionate about the same thing you are. And it doesn't come, you don't find those people every day, right? And so being able to be all in one room is so special.
Yeah, because I remember in the beginning when when I first attended REC, there wasn't as much opportunity to mingle because that wasn't built into the conference as much. There was an evening thing and there was some breaks, but I sensed that. And then in the iteration in, I think it was 2019, there was far more opportunity. You had the awards night, you had the dinner, and that was so awesome because it meant that we could all mingle. And like you say, it's like we're all really excited to connect with each other because we're flying from all over the world to see each other. And it's the only opportunity we're going to get. And it's only over a few days. So I love the fact that you build in those social opportunities.
And you're so right. We've taken that to a whole nother level. Early on, we thought people wanted to attend a presentation, 3-minute break, a presentation, a 3-minute break, a presentation, and they don't. They want to attend a presentation and then get with colleagues and talk about what they just learned. Hey, how are you doing? What's new in your business? And so we need to foster that. And I think this year's conference, as you're going to find out with what we talk about here, is going to provide so many opportunities to do that.
Or it's like, I've got this really specific problem in my business. If they're an owner operator, can you help me with this? Because all of the experts are right there, right? So it's awesome for that. Cool. So what's the agenda then for this year's conference?
Well, I think maybe the best way for us to introduce the agenda is Hannah and I have been talking about, well, what are the top 10 reasons why someone should attend REC? So this is the value proposition of REC, I guess. What are the elements that we think are interesting? What are the things you're going to learn? What's different about this year's REC? So maybe we could go back and forth and kind of introduce each one of these and have a chat about each one of these.
Sounds great.
So the first reason why you should come to REC is live events are back. and they're safe. And there's been live events going on for the past few months, outdoors and indoors. Luke was just at Mind Body Bold, which is a huge conference. It was indoors, and it was completely safe.
Over a thousand people there. We had keynotes in, speakers from all over, and people loved it. So we should address that. A little bit of apprehension that, I don't know if I can go to a conference right now based on COVID conditions. And my goodness, Mind Body Bold was a massive success. And then the big annual International IHRSA convention is the week before REC in Dallas. And that's, tremendous registration, pre-registration for that, convention, trade show, all of it. So I think we need to get back to live events. And I think we're all craving it. We're craving like seeing each other and being together. And
Absolutely.
We don't need to delay any longer. It's we're capable of doing this in a really safe way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sounds great. Love it. What's the next
So
one?
I think the second reason to attend REC is inspired by Adam Grant's new book, Think Again. And Lawrence, you're going to get sick of me talking about this book.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, he just writes this wonderful book called Think Again, where we should challenge our assumptions and how do we show up with a scientist mindset. A scientist means, hey, my hypothesis, my idea, it is a hypothesis, right? It's not my religion. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a politician. This is not the final word on whatever the topic is. I can continue to look and seek out new evidence and evidence that maybe challenges what I've always thought. So to think again, I think Brad Schoenfeld's presentation on muscle hypertrophy is going to force the audience to do that. We have so many high-intensity training practitioners that are convinced that we know how to stimulate muscle hypertrophy, and he is going to challenge our thoughts there. He has published more research than any other individual over the last 8 years on the topic. And I can't wait to hear what he has in store. We've been going back and forth on what his content will look like. We just added him. We added him to replace James Fisher. James Fisher can't come to the U.S. because of the travel ban. The travel ban will lift 8 days too late for him to get here. So Brad's going to take his place. Now, they co-authored this new position stand on muscle hypertrophy that's kind of all the rage in our industry. James was going to talk about it. Now Brad's going to talk about it, and he's really excited to talk about it. In addition to that, Brad just published a paper on time-efficient strength training. The paper was called No Time to Lift. So how would you get the most out of your strength and hypertrophy if you didn't have as much time? So thrilled to hear from Brad, and thrilled that Brad doesn't have the same background as most of the REC presenters. He is going to challenge how we think about this. And we always say we're evidence-based, we're evidence-based, we're evidence-based. The reality is most of us are not that evidence-based. We are high-intensity training super slow practitioners, and we try to fit that into the evidence. He is going to challenge us and force us to think again. And frankly, that's hard for my own ego to accept that. But I'm excited about it and excited to learn from Brad. So that's, I think, the number two reason to go is this is the single most significant researcher in muscle hypertrophy in the world as a keynote.
Yeah, doesn't get much better than that.
The third reason why people should come to REC is to be part of the conversation of the future of the personal trainer. And we have our keynote, Dr. Cedric Bryant, who's the president for ACE, coming to speak on that. And he's really talking about, the professionalization of the personal trainer, which I think we should all be interested in, because as 2020 really showed us, making sure that we're putting the personal trainer as an allied health professional is going to be really important for people's, health moving forward. And Dr. Cedric Bryant is the perfect person to talk to about that topic.
And he's got a great background in that he has the PhD in exercise physiology from Penn State and studied with Wayne Westcott and some of the other names. And he's a classic high intensity training guy. I mean, that was his background. He is very well versed in high intensity training. I mean, in the 80s and early 90s, he was one of the major figures. But now he has this leadership role in the American Council on Exercise, and he is on a mission to move personal training toward a respected profession. And I think our audience, besides talking about sets, reps, and time under tension, this is what we should all be interested in. This is our work. This is our life's work. And so we get to be a part of that conversation is how is our life's work evolving, and how can we be a part of that conversation? Frankly, I want to be there because I want want to shape that conversation. And I think every one of your listeners, you need a place at the table and you need to be there and need to shape that conversation, because this is going to be the largest impact on our businesses. Our businesses are not about time under tension or whether or not we have medics equipment. It's going to be how is the profession of personal training viewed as a member of the allied health continuum. So I can't wait for that conversation. And Cedric, in the words of Dr. James Peterson, who was like this with Arthur Jones and led the Project Total Conditioning study at West Point, said Cedric Bryant is the only person he's ever met that's more intelligent than Arthur Jones. So
wow,
brilliant,
quite a claim right there. Yeah, I'm just going to say this now because I'm getting this is upsetting me now because as you guys know, unfortunately, I cannot attend this year because I'm having a baby. So it's a pretty good reason. And the due date is right around Rec. Otherwise, I was getting so excited about coming to Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. And of course, I love everything that happens at Rec and seeing all you guys. But sadly, it's bad timing for me. And I'm going to say that now because this is so irritating for me. And I mean that in a good way, to hear you say what's happening this year, because just sounds so exciting. So please continue, but I am going to get more angry as we go, probably.
Well, we have 6 more bullet points of things that are going to upset you.
We're going to continue to piss you off.
Go for it.
No, I think the fourth reason to come to Rec is if you operate a studio, if you lead and manage a studio, this conference is going to be all about studio operations. I mean, we have Sherry McMillan giving a special topics presentation about how she runs her studio. Sherry McMillan, no mistake about it. She is the best fitness studio operator in the world and has been for 2 decades. Okay. And there is no debate about it. She is best. They make more money and she does it working less than anybody else. She is absolutely the best at studio operations. So she's going to give a presentation. She's also going to be one of our 4 operators on a panel. So the panel around studio operations is going to be Sherry McMillan, Skylar Tanner, who your listeners will be very familiar with, John Zarbuck. I always say his last name wrong, but he's more of an ARX model with a new studio that just opened. And then Andy Alessio, who is one of our general managers that operates one of our really successful locations as well. So those 4 individuals are wildly different. I mean, Sherry's been doing it forever and she is just absolutely killing it. Skylar, everybody knows Skylar, brilliant operator, been doing it for a long time. John's newer to the game and he's got an ARX model, different model. And then Andy's within a larger business and going to talk about how he operates his location. So if you're into studio operations, what a great opportunity to grow your studio. I hear from so many studio operators that, hey, this last year has been a tough year. It has been a tough year and revenue is down. And maybe that's their reason why they don't want to attend Rec. For me, that's the reason to attend Rec. You can't afford not to attend Rec if you're trying to grow a studio.
100%.
So the next reason is we have a keynote panel and we've done this every year. And I would say that, there's not a ton of time to really ask your questions during the keynote presentation itself, but the time to really ask those questions is during the panel at the very end of the conference. You've gotten all of the information that you needed over the course of the last 2 days. And then the keynote roundtable really kind of is the culmination of the end of the conference. And we get to have all of our keynote presenters sitting on that panel. And you could ask as many questions as you would like. It's really the audience-led time of the conference.
And I like it when the keynotes are different.
Yes,
I mean, Brad is
different.
a strength and hypertrophy researcher with a background, first and foremost, as a personal trainer, right? Cedric Bryant is going to talk about the future of personal training. Dr. Sarah Oyakawa, is a brilliant protein researcher. To have her interact with Brad and interact with Cedric, and then Joe Cirilli, who owns the largest health club or the most profitable health club in the world, who's been doing this longer than everybody. I just can't wait to be a part of that conversation, listen on that conversation, because they all are so different in what they do, but they have respect, and the 4 of them, they have respect for each other, and the 4 of them, how they the work that they're doing has an interplay with everybody else's work.
Yeah,
so I can't wait for that conversation. And that's different than sometimes if you have 4 people that are almost the exact same people. That's not maybe as interesting of a roundtable, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to be a fly on the wall in a conversation between those individuals. I mean, this is an all-star lineup. It's just unbelievable who you've got in attendance for.
When I think of that keynote, sorry for interrupting, Lawrence. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When I think of that keynote, if you ask internationally who's the best health club operator in the world, everybody's answer is Joe Cirilli. We have him. If you ask internationally who's the best, most prolific muscle hypertrophy researcher, everyone's going to say Brad Schoenfeld. Okay, I might say James Fisher, but everyone's going to say Brad Schoenfeld, right? If you're going to say who is the most prestigious appointment of one of the certifying bodies, I mean, it is the president of ACE and Cedric Bryant. So we have like some just significant players. And then Sarah is maybe a little bit newer, but she's, studied with Stu Phillips and she's as bright as they get. She's a little bit younger and has less experience, but prolific in her early on in her career in terms of the research that she's publishing. So we have a great keynote panel.
Yeah.
So I think the sixth reason why someone should come to REC is it is not in Minneapolis. It is in Las Vegas. All right. So I think maybe more than ever, maybe it's just me, we all need some Las Vegas right now. What a great opportunity to get away. To me, Las Vegas represents going to conferences. I've always gone to conferences in Las Vegas, like so many people have. With opportunity to get away
for most people.
Okay, all right. I'll get to the other things that also represent. But to me, Vegas always represents the opportunity to think bigger. I can't help but be in the Las Vegas airport and go down the escalator to the baggage claim and take it all in and look around and think we could play at a bigger scale. It's an opportunity to get away and, like I said, think bigger. Hey, have some fun, laugh, drink, engage in all things that are Las Vegas. So as a staff, we're so excited about the content of the conference, but we're pinching ourselves. We're going to be in Las Vegas together as a team with all of our favorite people and all of our favorite colleagues. So we don't plan on sleeping. We plan on just wrecking ourselves over 2 days. By wrecking,
I mean, pun intended.
Yeah, there's a pun intended.
Very good. Very good.
So anything you want to add to that?
We hope that everybody shows up for the second day of the conference. I think is what we
exactly
hope the most. No, I think we're all really
and
excited
for the early morning workout as well, right?
Yep. There is an early morning workout, so make sure to show up for that. No, we're all excited to have it be in Vegas. I know a ton of our attendees come, when it was in Minneapolis because they love REC, but now more importantly, you should come because it's a destination. And you should come and bring a spouse or a partner with you and stay longer. You should come and enjoy the pool deck. You should come and enjoy the Link because the Link was, newly remodeled. It's right in the middle of the Vegas Strip. It's in the middle of everything. There's great restaurants and great, shows at night. So there's just obviously so much to do in Vegas.
And Friday, if people fly in Thursday, we're doing this early morning hike in Red Rock, which is an absolutely stunning location. Mm-hmm. So we have a bus picking people up and we'll go do a hike in the morning, Friday morning for those that are interested. Time to hang out by the pool Friday afternoon before the conference gets started. So, I
probably don't have to talk up Vegas.
Exactly. Minneapolis is home to us and we selfishly liked hosting a conference here. Yeah. But it's Vegas and we probably don't need to say much more than that.
I might have to have a difficult conversation with my fiance in a moment after this podcast, listening to all this.
I mean, frankly, they can deliver babies in Las Vegas.
Yeah, bring a doctor with you.
Okay, so what's next? Try and top
that. So number 7 is premium experience, including Friday night dinner with Jim Flanagan. And Dr. McMillan is also going to be doing a presentation at that dinner, as well as a happy hour with some of our keynotes. So those are 3 different elements that you should be really excited for during the actual conference.
McMillan's is during lunch. So these are for premium registrations, which someone can still register for premium. What the premiums get, along with a heck of a lot of other things, they get a dinner Friday with Jim Flanagan.
Yep.
And then go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
Dr. Mike McMillan is doing a demo on this new eccentric training technology.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with Mike.
Yeah, so he's the brilliant orthopedic surgeon that worked with Arthur Jones, and he's going to talk about this eccentric training device that attaches to a Medix machine. This is going to be one of the biggest product launches. It is a significant launch in our industry, and this is going to be for our premium content over lunch.
Yep. It's a little bit of a spoiler alert.
It's a spoiler alert. Our premiums also have a happy hour with ARX along with all of our keynotes.
Yep.
So the premium experience is going to be an awesome experience. I'm a little bit jealous that I'm not invited to that dinner with Jim Flanagan Friday night. Got a private room with all of our premium registrants and Jim Flanagan, and he's going to give them the Jim Flanagan experience.
And if you've never had dinner with Jim Flanagan, it is, you might want to schedule 3 hours for that dinner. But you will learn more about the history of HITS and his life, which is so interesting, Arthur Jones. And he's just a wonderful storyteller, and you can be a part of that conversation and his story.
And our premiums don't even know that right now. That's the first time we've mentioned this, but we have an unbelievable lineup for premium. So we still have space for premium. So it's limited, but we have a couple spaces left. So if someone wants to sign up for premium, they still could do that.
Cool. All right. What's next?
So Hannah and I have this list that we're going through of the top 10, and a couple of them are a few sentences and just kind of reminders of what we want to talk about. For number 8, I just have 2 words, Joe Cirilli. So Joe Cirilli is one of our keynotes. He's never keynoted a rec. Joe Cirilli is the Lifetime Achievement Award winner in club industry, runs the Gainesville Health and Fitness, the founder, the owner of Gainesville Health and Fitness. He was Arthur Jones's best friend. When Arthur Jones went through a divorce, and he's at the courtroom, he brings Joe Cirilli with him, right? I mean, he is so incredibly experienced in high intensity training, has owned hundreds of Nautilus machines, Med-X machines, owns every X-Force machine. His health club is not only incredibly profitable, but it's beautiful. So much productive training going on there. Dr. Wayne Westcott says pound for pound, he's the strongest individual that he's ever seen. Jim Flanagan says you'll never meet anybody that trains harder with better form than Joe Cirilli. Joe's a guy that's living life in crescendo. Joe's upper 60s, and he is not slowing down. The business continues to grow. He continues to get better. He continues to push himself harder. He's just an absolute inspiration, and he's going to give us a story. He's going to give a presentation about his lessons in business over the last 40 years, the lessons he learned from Arthur Jones, being so close to Arthur Jones. Joe's an absolute icon. I think he's the best leader of men that I've ever met, and I can't wait to learn from him and have our audience learn from him. Clearly, his model is different than a lot of our attendees, but doesn't mean he can't provide significant value to how we run our businesses and how we show up as personal trainers.
You just have to listen to Adrian and Tigra. I don't know if, I'm assuming Adrian still works with Joe, because we did this podcast a long time ago where we just looked at their system for sales, and we talked about the sales process and the whole sort of workflow for that, and it was just like that was so inspiring and so useful to me and the listeners. And it just reminds me part of the theme of this conversation is don't just look for those individuals who are at the conference who come from a high intensity training background, because there is so much we can learn outside of our industry to help make what we're so passionate about, evidence-based exercise, high intensity exercise, more successful. So I just wanted to underscore that because I think that's huge.
He's going to be a unique combination of inspirational and also incredibly tactical. And more so on the inspirational, I've heard Joe speak a couple of times, and I am floored every time I hear him present, and I get takeaways from him every time he presents. And so I think our listeners, or not listeners, our attendees will too.
Joe doesn't waste a word when he presents either. There's a lot of presenters that are good presenters. And I've been to all the conferences and hear them all, and you say, wow, that's a good presenter. But when you go visit their business and you pull the curtains back, you realize, oh, that was a good presenter. This business is not that special. Joe's a great presenter, but let me tell you, the business is even better. All of the advents of high intensity training occurred through Joe Cirilli. I mean, Joe was the first club that had all the Nautilus machines, line after line after line after line, and they scaled high intensity training. And then Med-X, it was Joe Cirilli. I mean, they were the ones that popularized Med-X medical training, the physical therapy clinic in his club. They grew it massively. They're the ones in the US growing X-Force. At every turn, at every development of high intensity training, Joe has led that charge. The health club does a heck of a lot of things other than high intensity training, but Joe himself is high intensity training through and through.
Yeah, sounds so cool. All right. Is there any others?
Oh yeah, there's 2 more.
Cool.
The 9th reason is Saturday night, we end the conference with a bash. And this bash specifically, this year, we are going to have a dinner, a sit-down dinner. We're going to have awards where we're going to recognize people that have come to the conference before, some that haven't been to the conference before. And it's really a time to have fun, let loose, talk with your other attendees that are there, talk with some of the presenters that are there. And it's so much fun. There's dancing. We go late into the night.
We're also inviting spouses. So like your spouse wants to come to Vegas with you, but they don't want to attend a conference. So we have a sit down dinner where your dinner date would be your spouse, and maybe they've shopped or gambled or hung out by the pool all day. Now they come to this dinner and they get connected with everybody as well.
I want to be a spouse at this event.
Yeah, that's literally my fiance's dream, that to do exactly what you just said, because she's not as interested in the exercise and business presentation. She wants to do exactly what you just described right there. So yeah, do it in Vegas again, guys, for me.
So yeah, in the past, we've done something at night, but we've never done the actual sit-down dinner.
Mhm.
So we are so excited about the sit-down dinner. Get dressed up and have a great night in Vegas at this dinner, and have that night go late into the evening.
Very good. And what's the
then our last on our list, number 10, is I think we've all taken a hit. We've been beat up emotionally, many of us financially over the last year and a half. And I think REC represents the opportunity to draw a line in the sand and commit to moving forward and starting to grow again. And I think there's no better way to do that than to rekindle your passion for the work that you do. By the work that you do, I mean our life's work: strength training, evidence-based training, strength training, high-intensity strength training, running and growing a business, coaching and managing other trainers. We have to throw ourselves into learning to spark that passion. You've heard me say this a million times, Lawrence. We don't go learn about stuff, okay, that we're passionate about. Instead, we go and learn, and our passion grows. And I think if there's one theme among practitioners in our industry, everyone is just kind of flatlined right now. People are just kind of paralyzed and not moving, and they're kind of in survival mode. And I think we need to draw a line in the sand and say, from this moment forward, I'm committed to growth. And growth might mean top line growth. Growth might mean personal growth. Growth might mean I'm putting 2020 actually behind me now, and I'm going to accomplish more, and I'm going to continue to live life in crescendo and experience more. REC, I think, is the time to do that. And most of what I said there, at least half of what I said, that's what I need, right? I know our attendees need it as well. We talked to so many people that have attended in the past, and they said, I don't know if I can attend this year. And we say, well, why not? And they're just kind of paralyzed. And they almost need to be told, no, you can attend. And you can fight back, and you can start to grow the business again, and you can accomplish more. I think if anything we learned in 2020, the work that we do as a high intensity training practitioner is more valuable than ever. So I think that's what REC represents, is a celebration of the work that we do, the importance of that work, and the incredibly bright future that we have. And you've heard me say this before, Lawrence, and Hannah's heard me say this 1,000 times. The world is run by those who show up. So you got to show up at the conference and say, I'm going to commit to moving forward, and I'm going to be a part of this conversation. I'm going to be a part of leading this movement. And that's what this conference is all going to be about. It's a demarcation point. It's a line in the sand. It's a celebration of why we do what we do.
Couldn't think of a better way than that to wrap this one up. And how do people register exactly?
They head to resistanceexerciseconference.com.
Simple as that. Very simple website, easy to navigate. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. And any other final thoughts before I close? Anything else you want to add about it?
Hotel rates. Hotel rates, your last day to get your hotel rate at $109, so $109 for your conference rate, is October 1st. So make sure to get on the list for getting your hotel by October 1st.
Yeah, make sure you book your hotel by then, because that's an unbelievable rate. Even if you don't register for the conference by then, book your hotel by then so that you get that exceptional rate.
Yeah, you just lock that in, right? Yeah, so everyone listening or watching, go to resistanceexerciseconference.com and register now. I'm so jealous listening to all of that. This is clearly the best conference yet, and I'm so jealous I can't be there. And if you are in our industry, or you're passionate about learning about exercise, you're an operator and owner of a studio, this is a must-attend event this year. This is the event to attend. So I implore you to figure out how you can make that happen. And I think your return will just be enormous. So I think you'd be crazy not to attend this year. So I'm very jealous. I think you guys are going to have an amazing time. And I'm looking forward to hearing all about it and doing a bit of a debrief, maybe a podcast with you both after the fact. And for everyone listening, if you want to find the blog post for this episode to learn more about the people, the things mentioned during this podcast, please go to highintensitybusiness.com, search for REC 2021. That's REC 2021 will be in the title. And until next time, thank you very much for listening.